Hi Verbling, my name is Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're talking about art. We'll be learning some vocabulary and having a lot of discussion. If you guys have any questions or comments on this class or any other classes, you can let me know on my Verbling inbox or on Facebook. And I'll put my Facebook name in the chat box for you. I frequently update my classes there. You can give me suggestions for new classes or just say hi. I'll put the notes in the chat box for you as well. I'm looking forward to a lot of excellent discussion today and learning a little bit about art from other places. And if you guys are looking for a private tutor, check out my tutoring schedule on my profile. I have open hours, a few more open hours this week, and many more open hours next week. And I can screen share the document for anyone who needs that. So here are our notes today. This is where we're starting. We're going to start by talking about some famous artists who have some very beautiful works. I'd also like to hear about your favorite artists. We'll be doing a little discussion on what art is as well. Not exactly an easy thing to define. So as soon as we get a couple students in class, we'll start to guess at what these artists' names were and have a little discussion together. Don't be shy. Come on in. You can also participate in the chat box. If you guys are a little shy, don't be afraid to use the chat box to talk with me and tell me about your favorite artists or how you would define art. Or maybe if you know any of the answers to these artist fill in the blanks on our first page here. We have a wide variety of artists here, but I'd also like to hear about some other artists, maybe some international artists you're familiar with. Most of my art knowledge comes from the US, but there's a whole wide world of really diverse art out there that I'd love to hear about today. Some of my favorite artists are pop artists like Keith Haring. Other art we might talk about is street art and how that affects people and the who live in it. So let's talk about some of these artworks. We have the Mona Lisa, very famous one. And we have a blank for the artist's name who created that piece. You've got a couple hints there, some letters that are in the name, L, D, and V. And if you have any ideas who that person is, you can let me know in the chat box or join to tell me. The next one we have is the Scream, which is an interesting looking one. If you've never seen it, you can Google that. And a couple hints for the artist's name. His first name starts with E, and his last name starts with M. Number 3 is Sunflowers. We've got the letters V, V, and G. Number 4 is Guernica, a double P name, and Poppies in a Field, C and M. So if you know the answers to any of those artist names, you can put the name in the chat box or join to let me know. I'd also like to know what your definition of the word art is. So what is art? You can define it in the chat box if you're ready. Hi, Umut. How would you define art, Umut? Hi, Akka. Welcome to class. Welcome back, Akka.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. So, how would you define art?
Art. Art is a kind of something we are moved.
Okay, so it has something to do with like human emotions and what it causes you to feel?
Yes, and probably in Western definition, that art can be technique. But sometimes I was moved by the nature, like an art piece.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, watching a sunset or sunrise.
So would you consider a sunset or sunrise art?
For me, yes.
That's a very interesting way to look at it.
Probably, because the Japanese garden and the difference between Japanese garden and Western garden, Western garden, not all, but nowadays Western garden has such sense as well. The British garden, I watched British garden picture. For example, how can I say, in the French palaces garden, it's very trees and everything trimmed, very exact shape. But compared with the Japanese garden, a tree is and rocks and put kind of to mimic nature actually, not so regular pattern for that.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Japanese gardening and how it's really more theoretical, more philosophical, really, than American or British gardening is. British gardening would be like, oh, pretty flowers. But there's a lot of philosophy behind Japanese gardening, right?
Probably, yeah. Maybe it's connected to the Zen Buddhism, so maybe it could be a philosophical thing. And one feeling about that, these gardens actually mimic the nature, like a river flow or ocean flow or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So kind of miniature version of the nature.
That's funny. And do you have any other artists, favorite artists? And it could be
Mhm.
this kind of art like painting, or it could be a gardener or someone else who does another form of art that you really like.
Mm, since I love music, I love a lot of musicians, and yeah, and
Ooh,
talking about
magicians. Those are
the
funny
music,
artists.
yeah, musicians, a lot, a lot of musicians. Mm. So originally I was crazy about rock and roll, so I love mainly classic rock musicians and
Hmm.
bands. But nowadays, I began to listen to ambient music, especially in the bed, uh, to calm myself down. So, for example, I like one CD from Brian Eno. Actually, he started ambient music when in 1980, and some of his ambient music album was pretty good. It's pretty good, like music for the airport, or and I forgot the title. Yeah, another ambient music from Brian Eno is pretty good.
So music is one of your favorite kinds of arts.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So on page number 1, we have a list of pieces of art. These would be paintings, and they're completers, they're masters, right? Do you
Mhm.
know number 1 who painted the Mona Lisa?
The not Leonardo. Leonardo
Uh
da
huh.
Vinci.
How about number 2, the Scream?
I know, but forgot his name.
We can't get
Uh,
them all. You can skip that one and try number 3,
okay.
the Sunflowers. Have you heard of that
Uh,
before?
Van Gogh.
Uh huh. Vincent van Gogh. How about
Mhm.
number 4, Guernica?
Picasso.
Yep. And Poppies in a Field.
Ah, start with C.
Mm-hmm.
C. C. I don't know. Charlie. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Charlie?
I have no
3
idea
out of
for this.
5 isn't bad. All the answers are on the first line of the next page. We have Leonardo da Vinci, Edward Munch,
Man.
Vincent van Gogh, Pablo Picasso, and Claude Monet.
Monet. Okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of Europeans in this group, even though
Mhm.
there are many, many amazing artists.
Mhm.
So we're going to start talking a little bit more about painting type of art, which
Mhm.
I think there's a specific style in Japan also that
Yes.
I'm less familiar with, but it's very
Um,
beautiful. It's like based on nature, right? So there's a lot of like bamboo
yeah.
and ocean and
I kind of maybe you're talking about wood print, Japanese
possibly.
wood print painting. Yeah, actually, it Japanese do notice the value of that, so they wrap around they because they it since it is print, so mass production uh was available, so it is like a pop art at that time. So
Oh,
people
cool.
didn't realize the value, so they wrap that paper, wrap that wood print paper to import the China to Europe. And the European people realize, wow, this is the art. And Monet was influenced by that Japanese wood print. and they create Impressionism.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's a lot of history. Where did you learn all that?
Because maybe because of that, I love Impressionist painting, so
Mhm.
I read about that when I was a kid in a book.
Very interesting. I had never heard of that before, but it makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, I think so. They are similar, and actually, Van Gogh sometimes mimic the Japanese wood prints by in on oil painting. So I think it's maybe it is a true story.
Very cool. And we've got some great suggestions in the chat box as well for artists. Ones I've never heard of before, but I'm definitely going to look up. Naturmort and Photos. So that seems like maybe it's well, we'll use some of the vocabulary that we're about to learn to describe that art because fruit is something that is quite common in certain works of art. So on the next page, we're going to be filling in the blanks, or we're going to be attaching art to their description. So the blank would be for the art. We're going to read short descriptions and then decide which one of these paintings is being described. Can you
Okay.
read number one, Aka?
Okay. This still life painting of flowers in a vase is one of the artist's most recognizable works.
Any ideas which painting is being described here?
Sunflower, I guess.
Yeah,
Sunflower.
sunflowers, for sure. And it's a still life, which is related to fruit because there's a lot of still
Mhm,
life fruit paintings. I think that
mhm,
was, made
right,
popular in like
mhm,
hundreds of years ago. And today it's not really that relevant anymore, but it was a very
mhm,
popular style of art for a
right.
while. How about number two? Read number two
Yeah.
for us.
The enigmatic smile of this portrait has captured the imagination of the world. It has been stolen twice and now it's displayed in the Louvre, Paris.
Hmm. So, what portrait
That
captured the imagination?
I can that one scream the scream.
So the scream is interesting, and it could be a portrait. It also captures the imagination, but
Mm.
there's
No?
one detail that doesn't quite fit: the smile. The
Yeah, I
scream is
think it's
not
not.
smiling. So what art
Hmm.
is it describing?
Okay, Mona Lisa.
Yeah, the Mona Lisa. She has
It
that
was
tiny
stolen.
little smile.
It was stolen before.
Uh-huh. It's
Oh,
apparently twice.
wow! I think it was a big incident at that time.
Hmm.
Wow, I didn't know that.
All right, and how about number three? Read it for us.
Okay. This landscape shows how the Impressionist depicts the beauty and simplicity of nature. I think it's Monet.
Poppies in a
Uh,
field?
yes.
Yep, poppies in a field. All right, how about number four?
This is an abstract painting that symbolizes the uh, anguish and pain of modern life. Sounds like g- uh,
Guernica?
Guernica. Yeah, Guernica,
So
Picasso.
that's a really good guess, but it's not.
Yeah,
Try again.
Scream.
Yeah, this time
Scream.
it is the scream. And that makes sense, even though it's kind of like a portrait because we have that,
Mm,
that person up close. They're, not a very happy person. It's someone who's
yeah,
definitely feeling
I know.
anguish.
Mm.
And what about the
And
last one, number five?
yeah, Guernica is about World War II. Yeah, I remember. Okay,
It's about what?
World War II.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, the war. Okay. This monochrome painting has become a reminder of the tragedies of war. Anti-war symbols, and embodiment of peace. The painter is famous for his Cubist style.
And so the last one?
Picasso, Guernica.
Yes, exactly. Guernica. Okay. Any questions on the art or the vocabulary so far?
Is Guernica monochrome, black and white?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
really?
mhm.
Hmm.
Okay. And now we have some descriptions of the vocabulary words in green. So these are definitions for the words. Not realistic is number 1. What vocabulary word does that relate to?
Not realistic, abstract.
Yeah, could be abstract. How
Or
about,
surreal.
huh?
Surreal. Surreal. Kind of the
Oh, surreal, yes, yes.
surreal. Sorry for the pronunciation. Yeah.
Sorry, I was having trouble for a second there, but now it makes total sense. Surreal. How about number 2? A picture showing an expanse of scenery.
Piece of scenery. Landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Number 3, painters who used color to capture the feeling of a scene rather than specific details.
Cubist.
Not quite. They use color too, but there's a better word here.
Impressionist.
Impressionists.
Okay.
Okay. And one of one color or shades of one color.
Sounds like monochrome.
How about a picture of a person?
Portrait.
A style of art that depicts objects as geometric shapes that are seen from many different angles at the same time.
Cubist.
Yep, cubist. And the very last one, a picture of inanimate everyday objects.
Still life.
Yep. Okay. So, who is your favorite artist? Do you have a favorite artist?
Painters or
Could be anything. Could be a painter, but it could be someone else as well if you prefer to name a musician or someone else.
Yeah, my icon picture suggests I'm a big fan of the Beatles.
The Beatles. Ooh, that's a cool one. They've definitely been a group that have stood the test of time. Do you have any favorite songs?
A lot, actually. But yeah, very inspiring song. One of the most inspiring song is "A Day in the Life."
A Day in the Life?
The last song of the Sgt. Pepper.
Very cool. I'll have to listen to it after class. They're great also for learning English because most of their lyrics are very understandable.
Oh, really? I see. Maybe there are not so many slang
Yeah,
in the lyrics, probably.
it depends on the song, but there's minimal slang in most of their songs. But in some songs, there's also a little bit, not necessarily slang, but art can be difficult to understand. It's not like there's usually not a story being told. Sometimes it's just words put together to create an idea.
Right.
Poetry is a very interesting form of art.
And sometimes they kind of pronunciation kind of tend to be British and tend to be Americans in accordance with the mood of the or melody of the song. For example, with a little luck, at the beginning of the song, Paul pronounced with a little luck in British way, but in the end of the song, he began to sing blues-like shouting. In that case, with a little leg, so little. he turned to be pronouncing a little because maybe singing blues with British accent bit maybe it's not fit for that for the blues, so maybe he changed the accent even in the same song. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. So, since we're talking about music, and you mentioned that rock used to be something that was really important to you,
Yeah.
right? That's what you said? Rock?
Yeah, especially when I grew up with rock music.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is one of my private motivation of learning English. I wanted to know the meaning of the lyrics.
Hmm,
At the,
interesting.
yeah. At the beginning, I I was singing rock music with karaoke by myself, and I realized maybe, for example, if I sing when I find myself uh, of time of trouble, it doesn't fit to the melody. So I noticed when I tend to be very nice, so when I find myself in times of trouble, that it fits to the melody. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I realized at that time the how English pronunciation different from Japanese pronunciation.
Yeah, it's excellent that you realize that. Um, Young and because of music. It really makes a difference how you pronounce and the stress and the syllables
Mm,
makes a big
yeah.
difference.
Mm.
So why do you think rock was the kind of music that spoke to you at that time? Like why was
Mhm.
that important to you instead of a different kind of music?
Maybe when I was grew up, rock was the cutting edge, like current computer gadgets. So it was
Wow.
sensational and exciting thing for, especially for youngsters or kids. That's why I was fascinated by the rock music.
Lots of novelty there. And then you said that now you're more into things like uh, what did you say? Electronica? Not electronica.
Ambient music.
Ambient music.
Yeah,
And why
ambient
do you
music.
like that now? What
Mm,
changed?
maybe because I'm getting old. So because of aging, my body sometimes reject harsh, hard sound, especially uh, before I go to bed or right after I wake. I prefer to listen to such ambient music because ambient music, when the Brian Eno invented ambient music, he released the album called Music for Airports. Actually, the purpose of that album, in the airport, many people are busy and many people are have feel stress or some people are afraid of flying. So he offered the music, to calm them down. So he says that the music pretend the passengers flying is not afraid. You are in like a heaven. So the music is like heavenly music, and it doesn't have a strong message or strong presence.
Yeah, so it can kind of be whatever you want it to be at that moment.
Hmm.
Cool.
Kind of.
I know I definitely need a little more calm at the airport sometimes.
Hmm. Right.
It's a place of a lot of stress.
Yes, I think so. Me too.
And are there any famous artists from Japan that
Hmm.
uh, people might know or that have been really
Hmm.
successful and popular?
Maybe because of John Lennon, Yoko Ono is the most famous Japanese artist,
Yeah,
or
she is.
some Print artists too. Yeah.
So
Actually,
what woodprint artists are there?
mhm. I forgot the exact name. But I forgot some of the old print artists. I forgot the name. I remember the. Okay, I check. ええーと、print.
Really detailed prints. They're beautiful.
Mhm.
I'm looking. I'm
Yeah.
Googling this right now.
Yeah. And you know that there's no perspective like Western paint, so
Mhm.
it's a different style actually.
Mhm.
Mm. Mm. えーっキーワード、sorry. ー、Sharak. Yeah. He is one of the famous woodprint artists.
The name is Shadak.
Sharak, yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to look that up.
Mm.
They're really gorgeous. Actually, I'll screen share some of these for any students out
Mm.
there because they're beautiful. And what do you think of Yoko Ono?
Yeah, actually, the his her presence is controversial. You know, some people believe she broke up the Beatles, and she stole the John Lennon, or from fans. But now I think how can I say? Actually, her presence is very strong. Actually, so and she influenced to the John Lennon's art. Uh, I feel the haiku's sense in imagined lyrics. Maybe Yoko bring such sense of Japanese art to John. And and yeah, maybe some of the art, John's song as we maybe collaborate with Yoko. So I don't know what her character is, but one episode he said in the interview with BBC, she was in the end of the World War II, harsh air raid happened, so kids escaped from the urban area. So Yoko escaped from Tokyo and living in the urban area along uh, with other students, but she always felt hunger. But when she saw the sky, she was released from such suffer pain. So maybe that concept reflects to the imagine above us on the sky kind of place.
Mm.
place. So yeah, maybe how can I say? I don't know. Her existence is controversial, but anyway, she influenced the Jones art. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, controversial, but at the same time, perhaps the Beatles would not have been the same if she hadn't been involved in
Yeah,
their
I think
process.
so. Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay. And what do you think makes good art? Like, how come the Beatles were massively
Mhm.
popular and then there's lots of bands who never really get fame? Do you think it's random, like some bands have luck and some don't? Or do you think it has to do with the quality of the music being made or something like that?
Mm. I think maybe the reason why Beatles became classic because they started the modern rock.
Hmm.
You know, after that, maybe the for the sound quality, some other band, reached a better quality of sound. Or but anyway, Beatles started the modern music. Before that, there were no such type of music. Elvis was existed, but Beatles arranged Elvis or American blues, rhythm and blues music in their own way style, in their own way. Maybe
Hmm.
American rhythm and blues rock plus European or British flavor. That's a Beatles style.
Yeah, they were very innovative on the music
Yeah,
scene.
right. And uh, s- some modern art uh, style. After
Hmm.
that, from the Sgt. Pepper's or Revolver's album, John began to introduce modern art concept to the pop music, their music, like yeah, like A Day in the Life, for example, yeah, or Tomorrow Never Knows.
Hmm.
Mm.
And what do you think makes something like paintings good? Like, why is one painting really popular? Say, some of these famous painters, Claude Monet, Vincent van Gogh. Why do you think their work is so popular, so famous,
Mhm.
instead of another artist's?
I actually I like music. I don't know so unlike music, I don't know so much about drawing or paintings. But talking about Van Gogh, and I watched a documentary about Van Gogh, and actually, he was unknown, uh, and after he passed away, he became famous. Maybe only one picture he could sell while he was living, and after he passed away, uh, ha, ha, his brother promote his picture paintings with small pamphlet. In that pamphlet, Van Gogh's dramatic life was described. You know, maybe that appeal to not only the art piece, but also that his life appealed to the many people in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people talk about an artistic temperament,
Hmm.
and they say, like, artists are very emotional people and
Hmm.
they have a very sensitive connection to things like emotions. Do you think that it's necessary for an artist to be kind of like a tortured soul in order to make
Hmm.
good art? Or do you think that just happens, like it's a coincidence that many artists are?
Mm, Probably, I think they are sensitive, especially the field of their working on. For example, one musician said he can listen to the exact seconds the reverb or echo is on the sound in the vocal or the guitar or something. So
Mm-hmm.
his ear is very sensitive for the music, for the sounds. And one sometimes artist suffers to produce their works, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they say the works piece is there, and I just caught that art piece in the air or something.
Wow.
Maybe, yeah,
Stuck
maybe,
inside.
yes, yes. Maybe both kind of, but actually producing something or creating something is not easy actually.
Yeah, that
So,
much
yeah.
is true. And for graffiti, sometimes we have artists who work outside, and that can be controversial because graffiti is sometimes
Mhm,
seen as a nuisance, like a problem,
mhm,
and other times it's seen as a form of art.
mhm.
What do you think the difference is between graffiti that is a nuisance and it's a problem for a city versus graffiti that's art?
Mm, Maybe I think that in two ways. The the maybe most graffiti doesn't have a quality of the art. It's
Hmm.
just like kind of kind of rubbish. But some graffiti has a quality of art. But even though it is art, maybe that art might trouble for the building owners or maybe
Hmm.
people who dislike or don't watch art
Hmm.
in that on that street or something like that. So,
Hmm.
yeah, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
could be political.
Yeah. So it could be. I think some graffiti has art quality, but some people dislike it or cause a trouble about that.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And how do you think graffiti and art in a city affects the people who live in it?
Actually, Japanese city, has a kind of society require a strong kind of law and order. So there are not so many graffiti on in Japan
Really?
actually. Yeah. So, but in America, I found some graffiti on the street, not on the wall, on the street. People uh, draw a graffiti.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a new finding for me. Because I've never heard watched the graffiti on written on the street, not on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you find it kind of gross and dirty, or did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it because that graffiti is not so nasty, was not so nasty, or just the fun graffiti. So I
Hmm.
enjoyed it, and it was printed in front of bus stop. Yeah, so
Funny.
maybe, yeah, during while I'm waiting for bus, I was waiting for bus. I watched that graffiti.
Could be a little entertaining while you're bored, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you think movies are a form of art?
Yes, I think so. Movie, her maybe stimulate uh, a sense of view and sense of hearing.
Hmm.
So, sure, it's an art piece.
Do you think all movies are a form of art? Like even,
Mm,
some of those movies that
mm,
come out recently that are just kind of like based
mm,
on general entertainment and not
mm,
particularly
maybe,
philosophical.
yeah, maybe some movies just for fun, just for entertainment, or just for repeating the previous blockbuster.
Hmm.
Yeah, pretty
Made to
commercial
make
in that.
money more than anything.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I know that you were in a band for a long time. So you're a pretty
Mhm.
musical person. Are there any other kinds of arts that you participate in or enjoy in a deep sense like that?
Deep sense of art. Maybe music is is the only art I know very well. Other. Mm. But I like watching architecture too.
You like watching what?
Architecture, building,
Oh,
house.
architecture. That's an
Mm.
interesting form of art.
Mhm.
So, what do you find pleasing about architecture?
Mm, kind of. Nowadays, Japanese house is very unique. It's a mixture of traditional Japanese style and Western style or American style. So now I'm in the tatami mat room, which is a traditional room, and this room has a paper sliding doors. And and however, only the paper sliding door is a bit cold in the winter time. It's not
Ooh.
safe. So kind of how can I say aluminium is English. Aluminium
What?
uh, aluminum frame glass door.
All right. I'm not
Yeah,
sure I know what that is, but that sounds like it could
yeah.
exist.
Uh, is is behind paper sliding door.
Oh, okay. So you have two doors. There's like the pretty paper sliding door and then a
Yeah.
real door that's practical.
Yes. So
It's
that's the typical style of modern Japanese house.
it's kind of funny because art
Mhm.
is very beautiful, but
Mhm.
frequently it's very impractical.
Yes, that's for sure. Because, a lot of postmodern style building, it's new, cutting edge, but I lost a lot in such a building. It's not practical.
That's totally true. Do you have anything in your house that is not particularly practical but is beautiful? So you keep it because it's beautiful but not because it works very well?
That a paper sliding door is a typical example of that.
So you have a paper sliding door?
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
It that softened the light. If I
Mhm.
close the paper sliding door, but since it is paper, it's a mild sunlight
Mhm.
comes through that paper sliding door. It mildens the sunlight.
Doesn't it break easily? I mean, it's made of paper,
Uh,
right?
it's break easily, yeah, actually. So,
So
so,
if you break it, can you repair it or do you have to like
so
get a new?
yes, repair. Repair is not so difficult, just using paper and sticker, glue, I mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And a typical naughty kids trouble, break paper sliding go intentionally for fun. That often,
Oh, that's
yeah,
rude.
happen. Yeah, but yeah, but I did the same thing. Yeah, when I was a kid, it was
Oh,
yeah,
troublemaker, rebellious.
kind of. But maybe every kid, yeah, do that when I was a kid. It's very curious. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
it's one
kids.
of those
Yeah.
little tiny, not like a law-breaking activity, just kind of a little troublemaking activity.
Yeah. So kind of, and yeah, maybe that's a one. That's why still Japanese people using paper sliding door because it's not practical, but it's beautiful. Or
Mhm.
it fits to our lifestyle probably.
Mhm. All right. Any other comments or questions on art or artists or
Mhm.
anything like that?
Yeah. How about you? How do you think about art in America?
Hmm. Well, I have to admit that I'm a little art dense. I
Hmm.
I don't know that much about really deep art, like modern art and stuff. I usually find modern art a little bit annoying because it's so hard to understand. You know, you have to be super educated in order to understand a lot of modern art. So, as far as physical art, I would say I enjoy things more like pop art, which
Hmm.
are pretty understandable on a basic level.
Hmm.
And I do enjoy graffiti art. I think that's
Hmm.
really interesting.
Hmm.
And it's practical. It's something that almost anyone could do if they wanted to
Hmm.
try.
Hmm.
But I also like a lot of internationally flavored art. There's some Mexican art that I really enjoy, as well as Brazilian art.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
here, of course, there's a lot of music. In Brazil, I mean, there's a
Hmm.
lot of music that I just think
Hmm.
is amazing. So those would be, I guess, my favorite kinds of arts. But
Hmm.
like you mentioned, there's architecture and there's an infinite amount of
Hmm.
arts and art in
Hmm.
everyday life, even food. There's food that's art,
Yeah,
recipes that are so
yeah,
complex,
yeah.
they become art.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yes, and yeah, kind of the I think the pop world was maybe started in America, so or modern art the pretty influential in American
Mhm.
society. Yeah, also graffiti too, I guess.
Yeah, pop art is
Actually.
something I learned
Mm.
about in school where modern art
Mm.
I didn't learn so much about. I'm going to
I
screen
see.
share a picture of
Hmm.
some pop art quick. It's kind of like cheap and funny and
Hmm.
um, colorful for sure.
Yes. And it influenced a lot about to the Japanese anime, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Originally, Japanese anime started to mimic American anime or some other countries' animation.
Oh wow, and then it just got brought to a whole new level.
Maybe maybe that's an interesting part of the art or culture that
Hmm.
two or three culture sometimes clash or mix, and then new culture appears, like rock and roll meet Beatles, and they ate the European flavor, and new rock
Mm-hmm.
started. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Any other
Mm.
comments or questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having lots of conversation with me today.
Yeah.
And I have another class coming up in a second that is about spelling and pronunciation if you're interested. So I hope to see you again soon.
Okay,
Bye,
thank you
Akana.
very much. See you. Bye.